Hi, before watching this video, please do stop watching this video. Even though I can consider this mode as successful, the idea was great, but the execution was terrible. In this video you're gonna see lots of crappy solutions, but I'm still posting it because I believe there's some good knowledge about internal components of the dashboard of MPV and the 626, like plastic components, nothing to do with the electronics. So if you're interested in having chrome rings, just buy them. If you're interested in seeing what's actually inside of the speedometers or instrument clusters or whatever, keep watching. And by the way, sorry for the lights at the end of the video. I'm testing new light bulbs, and it was evening when I was filming it, and apparently on camera things do look different. So sorry about that. Candy time! Welcome to the GF channel. Today we'll talk about chrome rings inside of instrument clusters of the GF, the BJ and the CP Premacy Mazdas. These are 626, 323 and Premacy. I'm using originally installed by Mazda chromium rings in MPV. The facelift version of MPV LW has them originally mounted, and I'm gonna try, this is the moment of truth, try to install them into a 626 speedometer or instrument cluster. The 626, 323 and Premacy by mounting are absolutely the same. So I have here one 626 which I use for spare parts. I also have one 323 somewhere around here, but that's not the point now. I use it for spare parts. I got it cheap, and also I'm trying to get this to work. This one I'm gonna show you first how it is mounting. I'm gonna try to get those two like that. This is my original one, by the way. It's here, so in the end I can mount stuff. So this is how the original the 626 works. You have a thick transparent pin here that goes inside of this plastic, and then this plastic goes, there's nothing here, it's here, another thick one. If you look here, this one, if you see closer, focused of course, come on, focus, this one is thinner, a bit thinner, and also the black plastic gets in here with a thin one. There's nothing here, it's actually there is, but it's thinner. Here it's thicker, and then this one it's thinner. Anyhow, you have it also here, and also on the side there is nothing, while here you have it on the side, the plastic. Why am I talking about plastic, you might ask? Why not just get these out and place them here? Well, if you take the plastic out, I already have the chrome rings out. If you look closer, these are not actually curved in any way. Like, there is a bump here, so there is a bump here. You see this bump here? It's non-existent. This is flat. It's actually even worse than flat. So at the back, these are not covering the bump. They won't fit here. So this is not just a simple mode, get the chrome rings, take them out and place them in. You have to swap the whole plastic. That's the way to do it. The whole plastic goes. And also that way you're gonna make sure by those pins that are all around the chrome ring that it's not gonna fall while driving. Come on, focus. Anyhow, stupid camera. Another thing that you might see as a difference, it's actually probably the hardest thing to figure out what to do, is the mounting point. on the MPV it's built-in plastic mount, while on all others you have this one. It's a metal one. You unscrew this screw in order to remove the metal thing, and the plastic besides that is just plastic. There's nothing molded into a shape of mounting. So I'll have to probably somehow remove this and place here a way to put back this mount. We'll see this screw and use this mount. We'll see how that goes. I'm hoping to do it right from the first time, because I do not have many of those. Like, I have one. They're not quite expensive. I actually got this one for 10 euros, sorry, 10 euros without the delivery. With the delivery 12.5 I believe, or 13 euros, something like that, which is quite cheap for chrome rings, because if you want to get them separately you pay like quadruple the price. So I hope this mode works. My plan, by the way, I'm also speaking about the glass, because this is in a terrible shape. There is actually here, you can see it's cracked, and I do not want to use this. If you get a proper one, it might cost you a bit more, but then you won't have to modify the way that the glass connects to the plastic. You can just use the two as a pair and just modify how they connect to the bottom side. But since I do not want to use this one, I am going to use this one and modify the connections to fit to here, and see you after I do some modifications. Okay, so this turned out to be quite hot. I haven't yet finished. It's getting dark outside, so probably won't be able to do it today. Turns out the border that's here, as you can see, I have already cut it, is a lot thicker. This border is a lot thicker. It's actually raised. So and not only these had to be thinner, like you see here, I've cut them, but this actually I had to also cut a lot, so it's thinner, but it fits perfectly when I place it. And these two fit perfectly here next to this one. They are just tightened, otherwise they have a gap in between and they do not work properly. The other thing that you need to do, I also did, is remove those two here. Here they used to be plastic, and on the other side also. And here you have to cut a hole like that. It's not pretty, but from the outside it's perfect. Those holes here are for the chrome ring, don't worry. And now I'm doing these here. Focus. Here we have some studs. They need to go here. I use thermal paste, as you can see. It's a CPU thermal paste. Placed it on them and just see where it will go. And now I'm gonna use a drill bit to drill it to go on the opposite side, so this whole thing can fit. So I have the holes drilled. They are perfect. Now the plastic actually fits perfectly, but there's one problem. On the bottom everything looks good. These will tighten in the car with screws. There are actually even two of these plastic clips here, and this again will be tightened. The problem is at the top there's nothing to hold the plastic in. So here it used to have on the MPV a screw, but on the 626 there's nothing here. One way is to actually cut it from here, this one, and glue it here, but I'm not a fan of that. So I thought, why not use screws here? One here that will screw to this one, and one here that will screw to this one. And that is why I removed all the electronics from this plastic, so I can see, am I going to drill something, and the places are this one and this one, so always on the right side of the two holes. And if you look at the bottom, you're gonna see there are simply two holes here. Nothing seems to be in the way when you look at the PCB part. So PCB goes like that. As you can see, it's nothing sticking out of the PCB that is gonna go inside of that hole, and the screw won't be that long, so it will work perfectly. The only thing that could go wrong, but it's not gonna go wrong because I checked, is at the top. So this stays like that. It's clear here. There's nothing that's gonna be destroyed. Same here. So it's all good. I drill holes here. I'm gonna do it on that plastic. And since there's nothing here, probably I'm gonna also do it on the other one that's not for spare parts. If not, I might take it apart and actually use the already drilled down. That's actually the first modification that I'm gonna do on the 626 plastics. Up to now, I've only been modifying the plastic of the MPV. And after I do this, I stop for the day because it's already getting dark. I'll do this tomorrow. That's the result. Two screws here, and this whole thing is quite solid now. Welcome back. So I went to the car last night to try this in, see how it fits. I wanted to check what to do with this, what's the distance, and I found multiple issues with this plastic. So first issue, I couldn't fit in the car because apparently the plastic here, see, this angle here is quite different than this one. This is flat, while this one is a lot bigger, and this prevents the whole instrument cluster to go in. It's just not fitting in the car, so I have to cut this in order for this to fit. So at the back there's nothing, so I can just cut, no issues. Another issue that you might have noticed, but it's really hard to notice, is here you can see that the black thing actually ends and there's light coming out here. If you take a look at this plastic, there's some 3D kind of grooves everywhere. Here, 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 of course here. So all of those are missing here. See, that's just sharp. Now for this it's not an issue because this one is a big chunk like that of black it's plastic thingy, but the issue is it's separate. This one, and this one, these three are separate plastics, black plastics, while here on MPV it's one big thing. and that is why here you can see where the black plastic is ending and light is gonna go through. So a little bit of duct tape would fix that, because it's so tiny that in the far you cannot see it. It's just impossible to see it. And the third issue is with distance between the black plastic and the plastic I'm actually adapting to. So as you can see, there is gap. Partially the gap is coming because here there used to be a clip that clips it, but on this plastic the clip is here and here instead of one here, so this cannot just go like that, lower the gap. Same goes here, of course. This one is impossible. And at the middle, I guess I have to just use the Dremel a little bit more, find the spots where this actually goes, do a bump, try to make it a bit more lowering. Even the original one is not perfectly lowered, keep that in mind. This one actually is perfectly lowered in here, but the original one doesn't go perfectly low on this one. So I'm not aiming at being perfectly low, but still do it better. Okay, let's get to work. So this is the original plastic. I placed it so you can see how the original one fits. It's not perfect, it has a gap also. So I'm going to try lowering my gap so it's like that. See if that causes any issues with the new plastic. Okay, that is the cut plastic. It should be able to fit the car. Now I also mounted the chrome rings so we see how it fits. Once I lowered it, actually I lowered it the most I can, it's still far from stock. In order to do that, there were bumps in this plastic, in the white plastic. The original one here, actually, there are no bumps. White one is the same height as the black thingy here. So I had to remove from here, you should be able to see this was grinded down. This one, this is me being lazy. You have to remove it. So in order to cut, you have to remove the three of those, basically the whole electronics. Remove it, cut here, 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 and here. So this will make the black thingy align properly with the white plastic. I also had to cut the black plastic here because it was in the way. This one actually has a difference here, as you can see. This is actually even the thicker one is thinner than this one. So this is thick compared to this one. So I decided not to cut this, but instead cut this. Allow it more room. Works perfectly. There are bumps here. There are no bumps here, so don't worry about those bumps. There won't be in the way. And now if I try to show you, you're gonna see there's still gap there. It's bigger than the original one, but I have no idea for now what to do with it. I'll see later if it's an issue what to do. Right now I just want to stick the screws here and go down to the car, see how this fits and what to do with this, because this is much bigger problem. Alright, so I am in the car and now this actually fits in, no problems. Of course the problem is now here on top. This one, there is no actual way you can put the whole thing back, because this is the first thing that hits, and this means I have to cut it for sure. And there won't be any way to make an adapter plate or anything, because when it's like that, now this one actually aligns here and there won't be any space for this plastic here. We need to make space for the plastic, and it's tilted towards me currently. This whole thing is tilted, it's not at the back, so plastic doesn't fit. So this needs to go, no adapters will fit. And while here, let me turn on the lights, of course don't mind these. As you can see, the gap is too big. The gap needs to get smaller, otherwise it's gonna be visible from the sides. From looking straight forward seems good. There seems to be some kind of reflections here and there that might actually be a problem, but the bigger problem is when you enter the car, you're gonna see this. Well, that's awful. Also see the light there in the angle, same on the other side. Yeah, from here gap is good. There seems to be a spot here also, little bit tiny spot. Little bit of electrical tape will fix that spot, but the gap is big. Yeah, also here you can see the gap. Not good. I'll see what to do about that. So that's the original instrument cluster. Let's see how the gap looks like. Well, there isn't any. Yeah, looks beautifully perfect. So when you enter the car, you do not see anything shiny. Also the spot here that I noticed, it's not here. Yeah, everything looks perfect. Okay, back at home. Now I've reversed all the plastics, so they're at original places. This is the 626, this is the MPV. And we're looking at this problem here and how to solve it. You can see this is a lot bigger angle here, while here it's just straight. So this needs to cut, and we need to make it this metal piece to fit here. And the plan that I think will work is the following. Name it. So the plan is measure this. The depth is around 12 millimeters. That's the depth here, and the depth here and of course I have to do it with the left hand. It's about 13 millimeters, so it's a millimeter more. Now my plan is to fill all of those with excess plastic that I'm gonna cut like that, and use the heat gun to melt it. Once I melt it, I'm gonna pour it here, make one big solid piece, and after that I'm gonna grind it down as much as I need, drill a hole on the right place, and that should make me have this metal piece come here. Apparently doesn't go, these two white things should also be grinded because they're in the way. Other than that, maybe I have to do a bit of more grinding, make this wider, we'll see, but it will fit nonetheless. Okay, let's get started. Okay, that is how it looks after it has been cut. I also made a mistake here. I removed this piece from here because I thought this won't fit, because I was measuring this one on here, which is wrong. This is a lot lower than this is. And once you do it on the proper plastic from the 6x6, you shouldn't remove this. It's not needed. You could, it's not a problem, but it's here and it's right after the metal. So no need to remove it now. If you take a closer look here, we are perfect. Now, once I fill this in, I'll probably drill somewhere here. We'll see where it fits. I'll do some measurements also, because this also can go in that direction, and there is a centering pin here which I have to get from here. I'm not gonna, of course, use a centering pin. I do not need to make a centering pin, but in order to make the proper drill on exactly the same spot, I'll do measurements for this one. Okay, it's time to use the heat gun. That's all the material I collected. There should be plenty. Let's see what happens. Oops! Well, that wasn't such a good idea, I guess. The good thing is here it's all intact. And the height is relatively good. I melted and placed a big blob here in the center where I believe the hole will be in. The issue is this is not melting well. It is melting, but not like liquid, so you can pour it. I don't know what I was thinking. And even if it was, it would be so hot that it's gonna start dripping at the bottom and you ruin the whole thing. So a much better solution, which I'm gonna actually use now, use some baking soda and combine that with super glue. So this creates a really strong compound, which I should have used from the beginning, fill all the holes. But now I'm just going to fill everything that's remaining. So I create one solid block. It's already solid, but I prefer it to be more solid. Okay, that is with the super glue. Of course, I ran out of it, but I believe the main part is done. Now I'm almost giving hope for this project. Incidentally I burned this one down, which I'm gonna use for the glass. Yes, I'll see if I can fix that. So things are getting harder and harder already, but let's see how this would fit. In order for me to measure, this is the original one. If you go like that, see, this is at the bottom and it doesn't fit. I have to pull it up a bit, and there is a gap here. And that gap is so small that's immeasurable. So, try with one hand. I just need something to stick and see if it fits. Now this fits perfectly, so I'm going to use this as a guidance when I am actually figuring out the spot for drilling here. Drill a hole and see what happens. Okay, and that's how it looks when I drilled it. It is pretty solid. I like it. We'll go and see in the car how it looks. Of course, without the glass. I tried fixing this, but it's causa perduta. It's not gonna work. I made it at least not to stick at the bottom. The good thing is I'm going to actually use the glass from 6 to 6, which would require only half of this working and half of this. I don't know if you can see, but I believe that's the case. Probably you will not need this, and you should not melt anything. I do not advise it, or at least if you melt, be very careful and probably place small pieces here of plastic and melt them directly here. It's gonna be better. Okay, so let's go to the car, see how this fits. Things are starting to get good. That's how it looks. Actually fits perfectly. Of course doesn't have the glass, but I believe that's not an issue because the glass is like behind that metal thing. So I'm hoping that it won't have any negative impact. We'll see once I fit it. That's it. Let's see what we do with the lighting issues here and behind the rings. Okay, that's my evil plan. In order for me to fix the light issues, so the gap here, since I tried and I cannot find where it actually hits and doesn't want to continue down, or maybe this height is a bit tinier so it gets a bump, I don't know. I don't want to fix it. When you look at it at the front, it looks good, so I just need to fill in the gap so it doesn't pour light. So my evil genius plan is to use from the MPV the black thingy which is at the back and cut it. So I'll mark here, I'll cut it, and I'll make something that could be used in the 6 to 6 without disassembly of removing these, because it's especially those two, they're breakable, easily breakable. So I'm using my test 6 to 6 one to make it, then I'll cut it, and then I'll actually test how it looks and probably figure out how to fix it with those two here. There are two extra holes. We'll see how I can use those so I can fix it so it's static. Other than that, I could use some taping. You can see that the MPV speedometer is actually a little bit larger, especially on this side. This will actually emit light, so I'll have to on the other side I will use some black marker to stop the light from coming in and then going out. Of course, not gonna use on the top because it's gonna look ugly, and that's not that bad, and not to mention on top you're gonna actually have rings, so this is pretty invisible. So that's the plan. Let's do it. Okay, that's the result of the cutting. I believe things are actually not bad. So this is how it looks. There is actually nothing left here. as a gap, and on the other side also. Same goes here, no gaps. And I'm using actually real pins for the speedometer. Okay, let me remove those. It will be much easier if I remove those. Okay, that's how it looks. So I use pins here. There is a pin that's actually for here, and I drilled a hole here that will fix this. Same goes at the bottom. It's not a hole, but that pin holds it so it doesn't slide down. And here, same goes here. For this side I do not have anything, there are no such pins, but this goes on top, and once you fit the plastic and tighten it, this actually gets really tight. It's not gonna move for sure. And I also left the bottom here, additional point. When you place the plastic actually at the bottom has this ring, and this black part should go around the ring. So it's additional tightening of the whole thing. I believe that will cover almost all holes. One hole remaining will be this one that I saw, which is here, and the black thing doesn't cover it, so a little bit of duct tape magic will do. Just a little bit, not too much. These are pretty tiny. They should exactly cover this, maybe a little bit more. We'll see if that's an issue in the evening. And I believe that covers everything. Now I need to fix the glass to fit this one there, so I can complete the task and actually grab my real speedo and change this plastic. I need to get that plastic because there were too many modifications on it, and I do not want to do them again on the new plastic. Okay, of course, nothing goes without issues. Now, to fit the glass there is a big issue. Apparently this glass is way deeper. The angle here is way deeper than the angle here. So, as you can see, this one is a lot thinner, only that thing. While this one is way thicker. And what this means is when it hits this here, it's so tall that the glass is way ahead, and even this button becomes barely clickable. Now I have to go around and start cutting, make it thinner. Hope that fixes it. And another note is that I broke off, of course, this one. It's impossible with this, but I believe I'm going to use cable ties here and here. Just stick a hole and use a cable tie. It will be rock solid. This one at the bottom, as you can see, it's so strong that the plastic doesn't move, so it will do. So, cable tie solution works good. I'm also the car. Now this is pretty solid. As you can see, I haven't placed the screw, so it went with the black plastic. And I'm ready to actually implement it on the real deal and see how it goes. Okay, success. Finally, that's the original 626 GF instrument cluster mounted with the plastics from the MPV. Ugly thing, very ugly at the back, but at least at the front it looks good. I actually broke it while mounting it, so I don't have the strength to actually fix this. I have another glass from the other one, from the original one. I might someday fix it, because I already scratched it while cutting here, and it's a little, they are small. I'll probably get used to those and don't bother. Anyhow, if you have the money, just buy chromium rings. Don't do all of this bullshit. It's too hard and too ugly, and I'm not even sure is it gonna last. We'll see. I'll keep you posted in the comments. Other than that, everything seems to be working. Of course, the car hasn't been started, so temperature doesn't rise. I hope it does. I hope everything works, because I disassembled the car after all. If you do not know how to remove those, let me give you a hint. This is the original PCB. Those two. So you shouldn't pull these, because they're too fragile. You do not need to pull them in order to get this whole thing out. You need to unscrew the screws. There are 3 for each. As you can see, this is different. This doesn't have screw. These 3 and these 3. When you screw them, this falls off. And then, very important part, when you screw them back in, never over tighten, and do not use an electric screwdriver. No power tools, because you're gonna overscrew it, and if you do that, it actually breaks off. One of these is already broken off, one of these, and the leads here, for the motor, it's actually contacts, not only screws, but these are contacts, and the leads of the motor are actually to those holes at the other end. They're soldered there, so I actually broke off not the soldering, but the lead itself, and that's already damaged. That's how these are done. The other two, they're a bit easier. There are no screws here, even though you see there are no screws. They're those pins. You have to actually, they're bent, have to unbend them and pull, and then you plug them in and bend them again. That's how these work. These are off, and that's how you do it. So I'll see you in the evening to see how this works. It does seem to work well. There is no gap. There is gap, but it's fit with black. We'll see how it goes in the evening. I forgot those two here, but probably I won't fix them because they're so tiny miny, and I'm really depleted. One thing that I just noticed when I was trying to assemble the one for testing here, because mine is without a board computer inside of the tachometer. Here, my plastic, that's the original plastic, has holes for LEDs, light bulbs, so not for a board computer, which means here I do not have. When I turn on backlit, I now see the accumulator, the battery signal, although it's not lit. It's lit when I actually go like that. That's lit version. That's not lit, but it's visible because there's light actually coming in from the backlit. I do not want that. So this means I will have to do this plastic in order for me to get the perfect solution working. Damn it. One thing I just noticed, a freaking thing I should have noticed from the beginning and not deal with this whole bullshit. This MPV plastic does not have security light here. no security light. You see here, there is security light. No space for security light here. Nada. So if I want to stay with this, which apparently I do because I spent 3 days fixing it, now I have to make a hole for this. It will be circle, it won't be ellipse like the original, but at least it's gonna have something that looks good. And security light is here and working. Doesn't look bad. It's actually quite good. It's just not stock. Okay, that fixed. I believe we are ready to see how it looks in the evening. And that's the final result, like final. As you can see, lights are on and the battery here is not lit. This is because I actually went and I drilled the original plastic from 626 and I installed it back in the dark. Not a good idea. And another thing that actually went wrong is while I was installing it, I scratched, apparently here where the check engine light is, I scratched from the back with the additional cover for the backlit, so no gaps are available. So you have to be careful with that if you ever attempt to do this. I do not think you should. It's too many things to go wrong. There are too many things to go wrong, and it doesn't worth your time or money. Just go and buy rings which are installable pretty easily, and they look exactly the same. Well, a bit different, because those rings actually they're a little bit of aluminum, not the whole way down to the green speedometer, but just a little bit, while if you buy new ones they're gonna be straight down to the bottom of it. I also fixed this issue here where there were some lights. There are no lights anymore, so pretty much everything is fixed. Bottom line, don't do this. It's an awful way to do it. I did it because I had the part. I thought it's actually gonna be easy, and I bought it for 10 euros, and well, it's not easy. And if somebody from Mazda is looking at this, sumimasen. It's an awful way. Sorry, I didn't want to do that like that. I'll keep you posted with how is it going. Is it working out good? Are there any noises while driving, or are there any issues overall? Bye. Okay, I have been driving a few 100 kilometers, and the only noise I hear, I guess additional noise, because I haven't actually made any research prior this modification of where noises are coming from. For sure I have one here, now here. So the only noise that could be additional is this one here. This one needs an additional tie as those here. On the other side I do not seem to have this issue. It's solid. Probably here I left more material when cutting here this line, so an additional cable tie would fix the issue. And other than that, I do not have any other complaints. Everything seems to be working fine. And that's it.